So you'll be teaching a retreat with Christina this May for Bodhi College about overcoming the distortions of perception. Um, could you tell us a bit about the title and the topic?
Yes, the title, Overcoming Distortions of Perception. Okay, in a way, it's a little bit of shorthand for saying that there's certain things that we engage in life that we don't see clearly. That's the perception part of it. It's actually bigger than that. These dimensions, what we call the distortions in Buddhism, the vipalasas, to use the Pali term, the vipalasas are actually three distortions. There's the distortion of perception, there's the distortion of thought, and there's the distortion of view. And if you think about those three things, perception, thought, and view, that's pretty well our engagement with the world. You know? So if we're not seeing, using that sort of ocular metaphor, if we're not seeing things clearly through those three facets, then we're somehow separated from the realities that we live. It's even more specific than that because it says not only are these distortions running through our perceptual faculties, our thought faculties, they actually have content, really specific content. Many of you will know that there's something spoken about, which are three effective marks of existence that we come into contact with. Everything we come into contact with is somehow impermanent. It's a really difficult thing to take on board. The other factor is that things are dukkha. I'm using the Pali term here because it's covering everything from minor irritation to pain, and tragedy in your life, and so all of us go through that. So that's how existence is marked as well. But the last one is a little bit more difficult, is that we take things as being solid and having essences, ourselves included, when they don't actually possess them, that they are more processes rather than things. They are not nouns, they're verbs, in the way that they are. And then they add on, in these distortions of perception, they add on one more, that we take the non-beautiful to be beautiful. Okay, so these distortions are actually directly related to those three marks of existence, with one addition. So instead of taking things as being impermanent, we look at them as being permanent. I look around the world, it seems to have a degree of permanence, and I treat it as such. I live with it as such until something happens, that upsets that reality, and I didn't expect it to change. I lose my job, somebody dies, relationships break up, all of these things, all these life instances where something changes. Not all change is bad. Sometimes it works for us. My headache arrives, I don't like it. My headache goes, I like it. That's change. But we're living that change, but we're often looking for permanence. Notice I'm using that metaphor. We're looking for it. And so we're grasping after permanence in things which are actually fundamentally impermanent, changing at different rates, but they are impermanent. The second factor is that they are often unsatisfactory. I'm going to use that as a translation for dukkha. We see satisfactoriness in something that's unsatisfactory. And that relates back to impermanence as well. Yeah, it it remains around for a certain period of time. It will change. It might be satisfying while it's there, but when it changes, it becomes dissatisfying or unsatisfying in this way. And finally, we take things as having some degree of self, some essence, some solidity to them, which don't really possess that. So actually, we could condense those three down into impermanence because they all relate out of impermanence. And then we take that which is not particularly beautiful as being beautiful in some way. That which is actually could be seen as abhorrent, but we take it as being something that we pursue. And so when we speak about these are infecting our perceptions, our thoughts, and our views about the world. And overcoming them is one of the chief aspects because whilst we have those distortions, it feeds delusion, it feeds ignorance, and it keeps us, if you like, in this place of what we call samsara, circularity of behavior, doing the same things again and again and again, pursuing the same facile dreams, often again, the same illusions again. So this is about waking up to what's going wrong with our perceptual, our thought faculties, and our views, and seeing how we can change them and relate to them in a much more realistic way in our lives directly.